Hello nerds! So today we're doing another tier ranking list. I hope you guys are ready. I should have spread these out, but you know, I don't care. We're gonna do another tier ranking of all the classics I've ever read. Maybe you're not so much interested in this, but we're doing it. We're doing it. Alright, I have read 24, 25, possibly 24, 25 classics. I wish I would have read more. Some of these I read in high school because of school and stuff. And I don't want you guys to argue about, this is not a classic, don't type that, or this is a classic because you said you read it. These are the ones I consider classics. These are ones that are classics on my bookshelf. That's all there is to it. Let's get started. The first book we have is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's possible I didn't finish this book because I remember reading all of it, but I feel like I didn't read all of it, you know? But One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I definitely liked this book and I liked analyzing this book, but it wasn't like an amazing book, so I'm gonna put it at C tier. Then we have Fahrenheit 451. The number 451 is like really stalking me everywhere. It's like, it's so weird, like, but it's not only me, it's like me, my mom, and my dad. It's really strange. But anyways, for Fahrenheit 451, this book, I really liked it. I think this is like one of the books that like sparked my enjoyment for classics when I read it. And it's about books and it's kind of like dystopian, which is what you read kind of strangely a lot in school. I think Fahrenheit 451, it's definitely A tier. Then we have The Little Prince. So The Little Prince is amazing. You should read it. It's fantastic. It's sweet. It's a children's classic about this boy who travels the planets, learns about adulthood, basically thinks all adults are stupid. So this is S tier for me. It's amazing. Like what Antoinette has done in such like a short pages, like it's like 100 pages. It's just incredible. Okay, then we have The Magus. This is, I don't know if it's technically a classic, but it's like published by Vintage, Penguin Vintage Books or whatever Vintage put it. This I actually read, it's like one of the more recent ones, and I would say this is, it's hard if it's A tier or B tier because originally when I read it, I was like kind of bored while reading it, but it is like a really cool concept and it has like, overall, when you look, like when you finish the book and you like, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, you know, I will put it at A tier because I think it's closer to Fahrenheit 451 rather than One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Then we have Slaughterhouse 5. This book I also gave 5 stars to. I really like this book. It was really good. It's not one of my favorite classics of all time. It's A tier, I think. Then we have Dracula. So now I'm looking at like the ranking of how I'm ranking it, I'm thinking A, B, C, D, E is kind of like a 5-star, 4-star, 3, 2, 1, and then S tier is like the God tier, so it's everything that's like more than 5 stars on Goodreads. That's what I'm thinking. And I gave Dracula 3 stars, so I'm gonna put it at C tier. I think that's like where it fits in because I think it's cool to have read it, and I definitely liked finishing it, but it's not like something I really enjoyed, you know? Right, and then we have A Wizard of Oz. I don't remember what I gave this book, the rating. I think I'm gonna put a B tier because it's really good and I like the story a lot. I like a lot of what like represents. Oz always reminds me of Oop, which is like Adventure Time. So I don't know, I liked it, but it's definitely not like up 5-star upwards and stuff. Then we have The Collector by John Fowles. This book I read in high school and I did an essay on it and I had a lot of fun doing the essay. I also have like an obsession with people who are like have like wicked minds, and this is a really good book. And it made me want to read all his books. So it's S tier. I really like, it's like one of my favorite classics. I think I have 3 or 4 books that I know are gonna be an S tier. Spoiler. Alright, then we have Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This is one that I read during Halloween, which is a perfect Halloween book. I'm thinking I'm gonna put Ray Bradbury at C tier, and I think I'm actually gonna put One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest down 1 to D tier for now. We'll reevaluate. So then we have To Kill a Mockingbird. Now I know this is a lot of people's favorite. Maybe some of you are going to be upset. I was not a fan of Kill a Mockingbird. I think I'm going to put it at D tier for now. I feel bad putting it at E tier, but I remember at the time when I was reading this, like, Black history and, like, the whole history of what happened in the US, like, I'm not gonna say, like, in Scandinavia we weren't part of that, because we've definitely been part of, like, other racial injustices, but I remember reading this and I remember not being able to, like, connect with it because I couldn't, in my mind, I wasn't there in my, like, in learning process, and I wish, like, I would have learned more of that in history first before I read this, and I didn't. So while I was reading this, I didn't enjoy it all that much. Then we have A Handmaid's Tale. This is kind of the same. Like, I ended up not enjoying this so much, which is a pity. It's really a pity. Where should I put it? It definitely, it's like something about the writing style that's like a bit off, and the story wasn't told in a good way. Like, it doesn't have a nice and enjoyable curve of writing. I don't remember what I gave this, but possibly 2 stars. So I'm gonna put a D tier for now. Then we have The Neverending Story. I feel like I'm like rapidly shooting these out. The Neverending Story, the thing about The Neverending Story, it has like such a great concept. It's kind of like, it's a fantasy, and it's about this boy who finds a book, and then he like starts reading and he realizes he's in the book, you know? So that's what the first part is about, the first part of the book. And then the second part of the book is about like how he enters the book and he starts like taking action in the book. And I really wasn't a fan of the second part, and when you watch the movie's based only on the first part of the book, and that's like definitely the best part. The first part is like almost a 5-star, the second part is almost like a 2-star, you know? So like it's such like contrast. So I'm gonna put a B tier for now. I'm a big fan of like the Neverending Story song, and I did really like the movie. I went to the movies and watched it with my mom. Alright, then we have Horror Stories by E. Nesbit. I don't know if this is technically a classic. These are small short stories. I definitely had really fun with some of them, like they're really interesting. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I think I'm gonna put it at C. I was definitely bored in some of them, but it's just like they're kind of quirky and kind of scary, but they're also kind of mysterious. I don't know if I would like recommend this book, but I'm really glad I read it. Then we have A World in Winter. This is like the same publishing as Horror Stories. This is kind of like a dystopian about how everything becomes winter, like the temperature just drops, and it's like the beginning of another ice age. I wasn't a fan of this book, like by the direction it was taking. It was incredibly offensive to women and other races, so I'm gonna give this E tier. I didn't like it at all. It was like a push to read through. I decided to read it because it was the oldest book on my TBR. Then we have 1984. I have a book review up for 1984. I was not a fan. I do not like 1984. I know it's like a lot of people's favorite, but it was just like not an enjoyable read. It's not a bad book, and I do understand why it's like a classic, but I personally just didn't enjoy it. Yeah, I remember feeling like it was like very dark when I read it. I'm gonna put it at E tier. None of these books are like technically bad. Like, it's very hard for me to have a book that's like really, really bad and just generally like I don't like it whatsoever, you know? Like, there's very few of those books in my life. So it's like, even though I'm putting it at E tier, I don't really hate these books, you know? Then we have The Day of the Triffids. I recently recommended this in a video. It's definitely B tier. I feel like very solid about that, because the concept is really cool and it really makes you like think, and it's about like everyone going blind, and these triffids, like these plants, are trying to kill people, so it's like the apocalypse basically. Then we have Peter Pan. Now this might disappoint some of you, but I'm gonna put Peter Pan at E tier because I wasn't a fan of Peter Pan. Like I thought I would really like it, and like the story is such like a classic and so iconic, and I really like the Disney movie, but unfortunately it's like not a very adjustable writing style. Like, it's written for children, but it's hard to read, probably because it was written on like a different time. But it was just not enjoyable to read, that kind of like language. It was definitely not like written for children, I feel like. And it has some very dark underlying subjects, which is not wrong, but you know, I didn't like it. So then we have The Bell Jar. The Bell Jar is really good. It's like, I think Sylvia Plath is like iconic female, powerful female, and I think she's amazing. So I'm gonna put The Bell Jar at E. It's definitely a dark book and it has its flaws, but I still really enjoyed it. Okay, my battery's about to die, so we're gonna hurry up. This is Clockwork Orange. It's one of my favorite classics, so it's gonna go at S tier. I dressed up as Alex for Halloween this year, or like last year, but last Halloween, and it was so much fun. I love the movie. It's like but the Clockwork Orange is one of the books I've read the most times. I think I read it 3 times. Then we have The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby, I was very like, doesn't really matter to me. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, it was just kind of on the middle of the line. It definitely has like a lot of good quotes and I like the themes, but it's not bad, it's not good, so I would normally put it somewhere between C and B tier. I'm gonna put it B tier because I think it's better than Dracula, Horror Stories, and Something Wicked This Way Come. Then we have Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye I was a big fan of. When I read it in 8th grade, I thought it was really good when I read it. I don't know about now. I think I probably still like it, and I do really want to reread it because I think I would still like it. I'm gonna put it at A tier because I wouldn't consider it one of my favorite classics of all time, but it was really good, and there's some scenes that are really like stuck in my mind, and it was just like a really good representation of like adolescence, and it was just I really liked it. Alright, then we have Alice in Wonderland. This is also a really good book. Oh, that's really hard. I also really enjoy Alice in Wonderland. I think it's fantastic. I'm gonna put it at A tier. I have a review up for Through the Looking Glass if you're interested. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I really respect what Lewis Carroll was doing, and I think like it's such an inspiration. Like the psychedelic parts of it I think is really awesome to read about, but it's not like a favorite. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, let's move on to Lolita. Lolita, I have a book review up for where people like posting like really offensive stuff, so go and read the comments for that if you're interested. I definitely enjoyed Lolita, but it's not my favorite. I think that definitely like it's very problematic, and I'm not even sure if it's on purpose or not, you know? Like, I think it's on purpose. I don't know. I mean, it was interesting, definitely. I'm glad I did the review and that I read it, but what is it? I think I'm gonna give it B. B feels right. B is fine. Then we have Lord of the Flies. I actually read Lord of the Flies is the most recent classic read that I read, and I would give this I would give it D. I gave it 2 stars, so I feel like that's where it fits. I wasn't a huge fan. It's like it's not an enjoyable read, and I do understand why it's a classic, and it definitely had some really great scenes, and I do recommend you read it because I think it's like nice to know what everyone's talked about, because it's referenced so much all the time. D tier for me. Then we have The Jungle Book. This was also such a strange read because it's like many short stories in one, and only 3 of them are Mowgli, and those I definitely enjoyed more than the other ones. I'm also gonna put it at D tier. And that is it. I'm gonna go through these quickly. I agree with everything that's on here. Oh my god, I just forgot one. I just forgot one that's so obvious, and that's Frankenstein. Okay, well, you know me, I love Frankenstein. I have a lot of editions on the book. It's not on my bookshelf of classics because it has a different bookshelf, so I forgot Frankenstein. Oh my god. Well, you can just imagine that Frankenstein is in the S tier. Visualize, use your creative skills. But otherwise, I'm happy with this list. I'm done. This is ranking all the classics I read. Hopefully I'll read much more classics and we can talk about it. Then I'll do reviews. Comment below your favorite classics and if you disagree or agree with any of my rankings. I hope you guys have a happy quarantine, happy self-isolation. I hope you're taking vitamin C, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!